In the 70s, we're going to see what's called 70s Neoclassicism or 70s Neoclassical furniture. And this is a return to some of the neoclassical ideas. What's happening is in the 1970s, we see a period of inflation, political scandals such as Nixon, and a loss of faith in American institutions. People are looking for some of that promise of what America was supposed to be, and they will get that through this 70s neoclassicism. It's not a huge movement, but it is one that takes place throughout the period. We will also see forms that will include Art Deco, Art Nouveau, and a combination of both past forms and pop icons. So you see a lot of different elements coming out of these ideas. We will also see industrial forms taken out of context. For example, stools made out of tractor seats. Of course, the stool itself is out of context, or the tractor seat itself is out of context, and then you have that column that screams neoclassical, and then you have what appears to be a tractor tire, or part of a tire. We know it's manufactured, but definitely is reminiscent of that underneath, creating a foot support for these stools. In terms of both furniture and interior architecture, what you're going to see is a return to more and more architectural forms. So you're going to see the use of beams and girders that are going to be exposed. You're going to see the intentional development of paneling on walls that is partial, that gives this sense of an architectural element. And this is really common to this period. It's kind of their call back to some of those neoclassical elements, such as pilasters and columns that we saw in interiors around the turn of the 18th to 19th centuries. So going back a couple of hundred years at that point. As we look at interiors, we also see the use of more and more sustainable materials, things like woods and other forms. So here, bamboo becomes very, very popular for a lot of 1970s furniture. And this is the kind of thing that you might see in your parents' basement or your grandparents' basement. They may still have it. It has a certain eclectic element to it, and it speaks to this idea of people being well-traveled, well-read, well-educated. You know, that's why you would have this. It's not being bought in an ironic sense, although today it probably is bought for exactly that reason. Now, speaking of sustainability, Frank Gehry, the architect, is also going to use cardboard in 1970 for inexpensive furniture, although it was not designed to be disposable. Much of the furniture would be painted or laminated, but we see these chairs like this. And this is not expandable. This is laminated cardboard. You can actually sit on it. The idea being that this is a sustainable material, not that it's going to be easily recycled. By comparison, the neo-modern movement of the 1980s had softer lines and more subtle details. And we're going to see something very, very different when we move into that period of the 1980s.